Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Okay, so for today's video is a video that, well, I definitely know it. I have a feeling that Andy knows this, but I don't think Kirk does. So we're going to wait and see until the end, but it will be pretty obvious. So I don't think we'll need to guess who the band is. Well, maybe Kirk might, but I don't think definitely me and Andy won't. We'll go check out today's video, and yeah, we'll share our thoughts and feelings at the end. There'll be no pausing, no talking. Let's go.
I wish I had an angel for one moment of love. I wish I had your angel tonight. Deep into a dying day, I took a step outside an innocent heart, prepared to hate me for when I may. This night will hurt you like never before. Old love stay die hard. Old lies stay die hard. I wish I had an angel for one moment of love. I wish I had your angel, your word to marry undone. I'm in love with my lust, burning angel wings to dust. I wish I had your angel tonight. I'm going down so frail and crude. Drunken disguise changes all the rules. Old love stay die hard. Old lies stay die hard. I wish I had an angel for one moment of love. I wish I had your angel, your word to marry undone. I'm in love with my lust, burning angel wings to dust. I wish I had your angel tonight. When it's dull, not to kill, but to hell, the place of the night. Pepper cry, wanna be thrown, God the disciple, walking drunken for life. Thirsty, your touch, my bliss, beauty always, don't sleep, don't pause. I wish I had an angel for one moment of love. I wish I had your angel, your word to marry undone. I'm in love with my lust, burning angel wings to dust. I wish I had your angel tonight.
Okay, so there we go. Yes, Kirk, you were right, and Andy laughed his arse off at the start of that one. But yes, you were right. It was Nightwish, and with the song "Wish I Had an Angel." And this is part of one of 3 videos we're going to do. Not the 2 others we're not actually doing today, but I wanted to cover off Nightwish from each era of different singers, and so we can see how the band has changed, maybe differences, etc. Because Kirk, you said it was a band that you've never really experienced. And I experienced them starting from the Floor era, and I ended up going backwards in time. And I know you've, Andy, covered the Tarja era. So yeah, let's kick it over to Kirk as the Nightwish newbie. What did you think of that?
Yeah, so is this the era with the original singer?
Yes.
So I think I said in a previous video, I've deliberately avoided this band only because I'm intimidated by their back catalogue and their obsessed fan base. So it's one of those where it's like, how do I insert myself into this and navigate through it? I enjoyed that. Love the mix. The guitar tone is excellent. It's really difficult when you're writing songs like that with upbeat drums guided by those magnificent vocals to get your guitars heard in that, but they had a real bite to them, didn't they? Same with the bass as well. So if you were to just press mute on the vocals, what you've got there is essentially upbeat thrash metal, haven't you? You can even imagine Hetfield playing some of those riffs in the middle eight of a Metallica song. I wouldn't say that the riffs are anywhere near the standard of Metallica, you know, certainly the golden era of Metallica. I just like the thrust of it, the attack. Now let's move on to the vocals. Fantastic, very influential on this genre. If someone says to you, name me a symphonic metal band, probably 99% of people are going to say Nightwish, and the other 1% might say Delane or an artist like that. It's so iconic, this music, isn't it? And I'm grateful as well because I just remember the turn of the century in the early 2000s, like everything that was metal just came out of America. And then when you start getting your likes of In Flames and the Swedish metal and Children of Bodom and Nightwish, and they start actually infiltrating the charts in the United States and Britain, and that was good. It gave you something outside of the bubble that you're exposed to through MTV2. So I'll always be grateful, and I hold my hat off to them, certainly for conquering America. Tremendous achievement. And Finland has more metal bands, I think, per square mile than any other country on earth. You only have to look at the charts where I've said this before, where Morbid Angel get into the top 20 in Finland.
Well, more than Hitchin. There's more metal bands than Hitchin.
Well, Hitchin in Hertfordshire, England, for our viewers, is dominated by sludge and doom metal bands, and Andy's in one.
Okay. Yes,
Hertfordshire. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it more than I thought. I probably could start there. I think it'd be sensible for me, wouldn't it, to start in the Tarja era. My only concern would be I could easily grow bored of that after 3 songs. I think it could be quite predictable. But first listen, love the energy, love the tempo, and surprisingly, really heavy. Love the guitars in the mix as well.
Let's throw it over to Andy then.
Yeah, agree with you, Kurt. The sound was great. The guitars are high in the mix. You can hear the bass as well. We've got to clear this up now. I'm not a massive Nightwish fan. I've got probably the first 3 albums, I think, because this, I think, is would I be right in saying the sort of tail end of Tarja's time with the band? I've never heard this song before. I know the title.
Haven't you? Okay.
Honestly, I've not heard this song before.
I think this might have been off the last album that she did with them.
Yeah. If we go back to the beginning, that's sort of the Tarja albums I've got, but she is incredible, isn't she? She looks absolutely amazing, incredible voice, iconic, isn't she? And one word you can associate with Nightwish is the word epic, be it the songs, the video, the live performances. I mean, that video, we've seen that hundreds of times, even in our reviews here. You know, the Warehouse, performance video, and you know, and some lights. Well, Nightwish have done that, but it's studio backed, isn't it? With, you know, it's a massive warehouse. They've got massive lights. It's a massive space. That is an amazing song. I don't know his name, but the guy who plays bass and does the male vocals as well.
Marco.
Obviously, he features a lot in my Nightwish's song. I've never heard him feature quite as much as he did in this one. You know, he had his own passages. He done a lot of it, and it's a really good song. And pretty indicative of Nightwish's sound from that Tarja era, I would say. You know, a brilliant band. You know, I need to revisit the albums that I've got, listen to the rest of Tarja's ones, and as I say, there's so much more. You know, Kirk, you said you're intimidated. Is that because of the volume or because of, you know, as you mentioned, the fan base they've got? You don't want to get too involved.
No, actually probably is the former. Yeah, because I was aware of them at the time, And then when you see this band just erupt and become bigger and bigger, and you've not listened to any of the other albums, you just think there's no point getting involved in this now. And that clearly was the wrong way to look at it. If I did, I could just start here, couldn't I? In the top.
I mean, the riffs are, you mentioned, they are simplistic. Like many of that ilk. I think of the guitar passages in Theatre of Tragedy's Aegis. It's not even the driver of the song. I was expecting more keyboards. I was going to think, well, Nightwish, the riffs are quite simplistic. It's the keyboard melodies that sort of drive a lot of Nightwish's songs. They were quite low key in this one, I thought, compared to others that I've heard. But yeah, brilliant band. Deserve all the plaudits they've got and the following they have.
Yay. So I'll kind of wrap this one up because I've done reactions to the bulk of Nightwish music videos now. I'm fairly certain I have. So, and it was weird for me. I came in at the tail end, like Floor era. And I struggled with some of the other stuff before I got to, but when I got into Floor and I found my way into Nightwish, I was able to go backwards through their catalogue and experience it. And I was very much like what Kirk said. It was too big a band, 9 albums or whatever it was. I was like, there's just too much for me to dissect. First time I ever saw Nightwish or heard of Nightwish was it was a video of a live concert or something like that. It was a festival. And it was like like one of those roundup videos where they have like an hour and they do little bits. And I remember just seeing them on stage. I'm like, operatic singing over metal, not interested. This is completely, I'm elitist. This is not metal. Don't care. And that put me off Nightwish for years. I never wanted to go anywhere near it because I didn't see operatic vocals in metal as a thing. And it was only really when I then got into Nightwish on the Floor era with a song called Elan, which is non-operatic. It's more of a rock track. And that was like, oh, I really like this. And then as soon as I found one song I really liked, I went down this rabbit hole with them and started finding all these other songs that I really liked off their albums. And this is one of my favorites. It's great from a live performance point of view. Really like Tarja's vocals on it. I think for this one, because Thomas, who's a keyboard player, he writes a lot of the music. So when you have to think of where the keyboards tend to fill within the mix, they're just above the mids, so they take a lot of the frequencies that the guitars do, which means the guitars tend to be a lot lower. They tend to do a lot more of the chuggy riffs, kind of fill in those frequencies, and that's why you may think the riffs may feel a bit more simplistic because the keyboards fill them up. And I agree with what Andy said. The keyboards usually have a lot more going on. In that song, it was very much about the kind of the vocal drive in between Tarja and Marco on bass. Fortunately, Marco's no longer on bass. He left after the last album, made a decision that due to the fact that through the record company issues where the record company takes basically the bulk of the money, they're on the road all the time. They're playing all these tours, they're playing all these festivals, and they don't really have any control. They don't make anything because of that. And he felt, why am I doing this? And so he made the decision to move on, whereas the rest of Nightwish stayed and continued after lockdown. But yeah, great track. We are going to be exploring some of the next. So the next time we get this together, we'll be looking at the Annette era of Nightwish and a track from that era, which is kind of the dark days of the Nightwish era, as a lot of people put it. But actually, for me, was one of the eras which I loved the albums that came out through that period. But will be really interesting. And then, of course, we will check out a track from the Floor era. So we can we're almost trying to bookend. You get a snippet from each era of Nightwish to see how the band has changed, maybe, or how they've adjusted to the vocal performances. But Tarja, great. And also her solo work is amazing as well. So it's always worth checking out what she's doing solo-y. That was Nightwish and Wish I Had an Angel. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.